to be deceived. And I have to tell you, in this passage, false prophets and false Christs will rise and show great signs and wonders to deceive, if possible, even the elect. I notice Jesus doesn't put the word miracle in here, right? And some of the signs in Scripture were natural. And this sign you will have, you will worship me on this mountain. That's what he did, just worship me. The Sabbath was a sign, not a miracle. This baptism is a sign, not a miracle, right? And wonders can be something that people wonder about, but necessarily is not supernatural. And, it just makes me wonder, because in our day and age, we truly have wonders, don't we? I mean, haven't there been wonders? I was thinking about Lois Crane being almost 90. 1931 was her birth. My grandfather was 1913. His family came from Italy, Cordonis. He was born here. Some of his siblings were born. They were in 100 miles north of Rome, was a little town that they lived in. He grew up in an area in Salisbury where most people had horses and buggies. My grandfather, he didn't have cars. What was the Model T, 1904? He was born in 1913. I mean, the travel that we have today, the communication that we have today. You guys have this super powerful computer in your hand that in the 1960s or 70s they couldn't have built with an entire warehouse. For some reason we call them phones. I don't know why, but these super mega powerful computers. I mean, communication, travel, invention, all the things that we have. You're going to go home, you have heating, you have air conditioning, you have washing machines, we have indoor plumbing. My parents lived in a house, my mom in a house in Marytown, they had outhouses. My dad in a mining town in Moline, they had an outhouse. What in the heck's an outhouse doing? Well, they didn't have plumbing yet. That was pretty common. Beloved, we live in a world of wonders. 100 years ago, the world was so different than it is now. And I can't help but see in the face of all these wonders, there's so much unbelief in the church. I mean, it's like we don't need God anymore. Because, we can forecast the weather. We don't have to believe God's behind the storm anymore, I guess. We haven't discovered anything that would take away from the faith, but somehow these wonders, these technologies, these inventions, somehow they make us think. There's this great pressure on us to think that we don't need God. How many people actually believe that God created the world? How many Christians believe that he created the world? How many believe that he created the world, as the text seems to plainly say, in 6 ordinary days, 6,000 years ago? My gosh, that's laughed at in many Christian places. That's ridiculous. The text really looks like it says that. How many Christians don't believe in absolute truth anymore? That's poll after poll. They don't believe in absolute truth. And absolute morals and sexual morals that don't change. We don't believe that anymore. That's not very loving. How does love win when you have two people? It doesn't matter who they are. We have to evolve. We have to, modern man. Come on, it's all about us getting along, and this is how we're moving, and it seems like everybody's going in that direction. We don't believe in providence anymore, that God is behind the storm, that when some tragedy comes, it used to be that the leaders, the secular leaders, would call the Christians to fast and mourn because some earthquake happened or some army troop was destroyed by the enemy. We've got to pray because God is judging us. We don't do that anymore. Is God even there? We can explain it all with our technology. I don't know. But when I think of these things, I don't necessarily think of a miracle worker. I think of what's going on in the world and how Christians really don't believe. I know Christians who don't believe in the soul. This whole idea of body and soul, isn't that kind of Aristotelian and weird? Isn't that kind of Greek philosophy coming into Christianity? Absolutely not. Read the scriptures. Jesus saying, do not fear those who can kill the body, and after that they have no more that they can do, but fear him who has the power to kill both body and soul. They're two distinct entities that we are, according to scripture. According to the science, it's a soul. If you can't put it in a test tube or measure it or find some kind of chemical reaction to it, it really doesn't exist. And that we're just the brain anyway. There's no soul. I don't know, beloved, but it seems to me like we're kind